be you and I'll be me. It's just a matter of style. You can't fake it. Mile after mile, feeling free. If you got the soul, you can make it. Move 'em out. Let 'em roll. From sea to shining sea. Ball. Cannonball. Hey, now cannonball. 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 Cannonball.
Yes, indeed. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, mothers, fathers, daughters, sons, brothers and sisters. This is the Apex Online Racing Season 14, Round 13, here at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in Italy. My name is King-Kodiak, and I will be one of your commentators throughout this evening's race. Joining me in the commentary box, as always, a great pleasure to have the Lord of the Airways, Mr. Hamish Sopwith.
Hello, welcome. So here we go, Monza, the Temple of Speed. It's a track they all like. It's a track that has been going for the longest in Formula One, and what a track it is. It's one of the fastest on the calendar, with some iconic corners like Parabolica were here all those years ago when it started, and they're still here now. But this is going to be quite an exciting race, I think.
It's undergone some changes. I mean, you could argue it's got radical changes from like where the oval was and the NA field, but it's actually maintained broadly its sort of signature shape, what made Monza, unlike Silverstone, for instance, that it's still in the same physical location but doesn't bear anything like the same original shape that it did before.
Absolutely. The start-finish straight is, in fact, the same straight. Obviously, it's had renovated tarmac, but it is the same start-finish straight they used in the 1950s when Fangio was winning.
Indeed. We currently have 17 drivers in our lobby. We're just waiting for any of the last remaining people to get on board, and then we will get this race underway. Although one of the drivers that is in the lobby is actually Fizzy. We understand he is not going to be racing, as the poor bloke has not long finished doing a 24-hour, not solo admittedly, but he's been part of the AOR 24-hour iRacing Daytona event. So he will, I think it's fair to say he won't be racing, but we do have amongst our normal incredible array of drivers, we have another new addition. Standing in the McLaren seat, we have got Impulsive Racer, who is another, would you believe, another esports legend. Problem is, I've forgotten which one. It was going so well, not the last moment, poof, the name just completely disappeared from my head. I was going so well, I was like, yes, I must measure that, and bang. I will just get that name for you.
There is someone we want to mention, Car Renegade. Wow.
Car Renegade, yes, an Italian in an Italian car on the Italian track. Yes, indeed.
So for him, this race is quite a big deal, as it is for all the drivers. I think after Monaco, this is pretty much the race you want to win, I think, saying you won at Monza, because they're two completely opposite tracks. I mean, Monza has, 1.5 kilometers of high-speed straight, whereas Monaco is very narrow, very tight. You need a lot of flair. I wouldn't say you need flair around Monza. You just need very low front wing.
It was Patrick Holtzman was the name. You know what? I had that name in my head as well, and I thought, no, that's wrong. You know when you doubt yourself, just at the crucial moment.
Yes, I do recognise his name.
And just as I actually confirmed the name from the forums, I've just had it confirmed in chat. Thank you very much for that. Right, we are loading in. As you can see, we are waiting for our ever-growing esports drivers are coming over to this particular league. Not that I am complaining in the slightest. Don't get me wrong.
I think we've got a split where over half the esports semi-finalists and finalists are probably racing on the PC side, which is pretty awesome. So, how big F1 racing's got on the PC. It used to be tiny back in F1 2013. We only used to have about 2 splits. Well, now we have 10.
Well, yes,
So that's pretty awesome. So
incredible
GG
for
to AOR for being able to, have an infrastructure and the people to manage us to allow us to be able to do this.
And what a shock! It is bone dry.
Yeah, we don't often get rain around Monza, but they
or
did,
Monaco.
or Monaco. Well, yeah.
It has happened before, but we're not talking about the streets of the Principality today. Right, for those unfamiliar with the setup, we have got 12 minutes, so essentially Q3 from the real-life setting, for which are 17 drivers, although I'm pretty sure Fizzy... I will be stunned if Fizzy actually comes out and does a qualifying lap, but we will welcome him nonetheless. We see a couple of cars are beginning to leave the garage, so we'll see who it is when the overlay updates.
So it's Impulse Racer. He's decided to
Wow.
come out first of all in that McLaren.
There he is.
Hopefully that engine's not going to let them down this time. It should be, as we're unequal.
You couldn't help yourself, could you?
Well,
Yeah, I'd have probably made that. I'd have probably made that particular point as well. Oh! Now I've just been updated. It's apparently going to be heavy rain to start with, but will dry.
That'll be fun. We haven't had too many of those this season. We have had a couple, and they threw in quite a few surprises when we did have the wet to dry races, although I have forgotten which races they were, or which race it was.
Yeah, I have as well. I think it has only actually happened once, where we've transited from one to the other, and I too have forgotten which round it was. So we have got a tie again. For the second time in the season, we have got a tie at the top of the leaderboard between Timp and where is he? Where is Timp? Where is he? Is he in? Oh, Timp isn't here, is he?
Oh, Tino.
I was wondering who that was.
Or whatever.
You will be called Timp. There is no way I'm pronouncing that. Bearing in mind that it's actually abbreviated as well. I can't pronounce that. It is Timp. And where is he? Where is he? Formula Danny, there he is. I was looking through the list, there he is. So our two championship contenders for the second time in the season are tied, because since they were tied 2 rounds ago, they both did 5th and then they both did 2nd in obviously the reverse order. So yeah, they both managed to score the exact same 2 results in the last 2 rounds. So that's Formula Danny just starting his timed lap. A lot of people, I think only one car is not on track, and that's Topar. Actually, Fizzy had decided to give it a try.
Wow. I mean, is he just here for the banter? We will find out pretty soon. He is.
Why not?
Getting out of everyone's. I mean, if he scores even just 1 point, it will go towards his championship campaign.
Very true.
I mean, and his AOR record, obviously, if he finishes the race, it's an extra race. Not that he needs to, he's done enough in his life already. An interesting driver who I think we should definitely be keeping a sharp eye on is Topar. He's just coming out of the pit now. Topar has been on amazing form. 2 wins in the last 2 races. Before that, he got a P2. In Silverstone, he's been on phenomenal form. He's really been able to close that gap. He's now just 41 points behind the leaders, because there are 2 of them as they are joint. Topar's doing very well. And his team, Mercedes, they're also doing pretty well. They're just 33 points behind Toro Rosso. Mercedes have a new driver in Isaac Price, who might be able to help Topar wrap up the constructors for Mercedes, saying Isaac is driving as well as Topar is.
Formula Danny just getting to the top of the board. As you can see, the times are beginning to roll in. He's 1:19.8. Only one of the 2 drivers to currently break the 1:20, the other being Marcel Kiefer, who's a reserve in this league. He has come out in the Pink Panther, replacing Fabrizio Donoso for this particular race. And Sven Cerner getting himself on the board there in 3rd position in the Renault. Brendan Lee, who earned himself a minor penalty with his altercation with Sven Cerner at Spa last week. Neither driver particularly happy about that particular argy-bargy that went on at Les Combes, but the Red Bull then currently 4th with 1:22.45 and the Renault 1:21.89. Still plenty of time for them to get their laps in. his wings through the floor and pedal as far down as it will go. As Marcel Kiefer, making his intention known. 119.7 in the Force India. Very nice.
I've been told that a pole lap could be in the region of 19.4 and 5, and Marcel Kiefer is pretty close to that. He's just a couple of tenths off that time, so I think his time is already very respectable. I mean, look how close Danny is, though. I mean, his original pole time, he's under half a tenth, and we've seen this all the time. We have drivers so close. I mean, still, we have the top 8 within a tenth, within 1 second.
Something else we're seeing this week, as we did last week, is people doing 2 time laps on the super soft tyre, because most people that have set a time have done it on their second run. So they've obviously filled up a little bit heavier than they normally would, and they are getting their better laps on the second, best. I'll try that entire sentence again. They're getting their better time on the second lap of this run. So, and this is exactly what we saw last week. It takes that little bit more time for the Supersofts to come to them. And we see also, as evident there, Brendan Lee now getting below 120 with that 119.939, slotting himself in third. Tim, on his run, has gotten into fourth position. Nicely done in the Toro Rosso. Fader has jumped up into sixth and Saba. So, all the times, exactly as you said, are fairly close together. There is Max in the second Saba, just coming around Parabolic. Oh, no, it's Curva Grande. Beg your pardon. Sorry, go on.
It looks like the reason you might be seeing the drivers doing 2 runs on these super softs is pretty much it's a solid one stop. And also, with this heavy rain at the beginning of the race, it probably changes the strategy, but it's a pretty easy one stop, I've been told. The Super Soft should last for around 13 laps. It's a 27-lap race, and then the softs to the end. I mean, the mediums, I've also been told, is a pretty bad race tyre, so don't expect to see too many drivers do that.
That would surprise me if anybody ran, unless they've had punctures and just run out of softer tyres. But if we're having rain, particularly heavy rain, at the beginning of the race, I doubt we're going to see the mediums come out to play at all. As we see Patrick Holtzman, our impulsive racer, head down to the Parabolica around to see what lap he sets himself. He's one of 3 that have yet to set a time. Riker, Gordon and Topar are and whoa!
He's just got P1.
Bang! Straight out of the box, and 119.6 for Patrick Holtzman to stick it on the pole spot. And he's got enough fuel for another run, so we'll keep an eye on him. The only other person that's out on track at the moment is non-runner. He is currently 9th with a 120.6. He is also just coming around Parabolica. We will see if he is able to improve on his particular position. And the answer to that is no. He remains in 9th position, but with enough fuel, it would seem, to do another one. So, big lock-up into the Rettifilio. That's not going to help his tyres any. Formula Danny has come back out. Riker, Gordon and Topar also out. And Slick have also come out to play.
Yeah, so I'm just looking at Holtzman. He's pretty much abandoned his lap. He's had a couple of offs. He was a 10th down in the first sector. About to get his second sector split, and he's a second down. Yeah. So he's now going to come into the pit and do a quick splash and dash, because there's only 3 minutes left. Luckily, it only takes 1 minute 20 to get out. Add another 15 seconds with a pit stop, so we're probably looking about 1 minute and 35 seconds is an absolute cutoff for these guys to be able to get out of their pit box.
Formula Danny in the house. He's just locked up again. It's so easy to do. You are stonking it down the start-finish straight with as many knots as you can squeeze out of the engine, and then slamming on the brakes for a sort of second gear corner. It's so easy to lock the front tyres up as one of the Red Bulls gets out of his way. Through Lesmo, or through the first of Lesmo, that's actually right on board with the house. Through the second Lesmo, then bang on the gas once again. This tiny curve here does have a name. It's the Curva del Seraglio, which no one ever uses. Down to Ascari then, heavy on the brakes, down 3. Just touch the apex, and we've just lost Slick, but hopefully he'll be able to return to us. Nicely done then. You don't want to go too wide in the exit of Ascari. You will invalidate your lap doing so. Down then to Curva Parabolica. Down 3 rather. Just let it wander wide. Don't go too far over the line. It's very easy to do. Now cutting back in for the shortest run down to the line. And for Formula Dunny. Oh!
Wow!
by nearly 2/10 as well over Patrick Holtzman.
Yeah, he really often does this. You often find that right at the last minute, he gets an absolute banzai qualifying lap. And we see him so often blow the field by a couple of attempts, and that's what he's done at the moment. Have some of the drivers got an answer to this? I mean, we've got Brandon Lee, I say down in 4th, but he's not going to be very happy with that. Tim, he's not going to be very happy with P5, and we've got where's Topar? Topaz hasn't set a lap.
He hasn't set a lap yet, but he is out on track. Let's see if he's setting.
He's about to set a lap now. It's a 120.5. It's mediocre.
Yeah, 5. Well, still 5th. It's 20.05.
0.5.
So yeah, 20.5. I would have actually put him down in 10th. So that just again shows how close the field is. He locked up slightly again into the Rettifido. And behind him is one of the Saubers and one of the Force Indias. I'm just stunned that Fizzy, there he is actually giving this a crack. Absolutely fair play to you. Also mentioned earlier, our resident Italian, there he is, Car Renegade. He's currently down in 16th with 125. I think it's fair to say that there's improvement to be found. He must have made a mistake or got caught out in traffic, but he's coming down to the Ascari now with one of the Renaults directly ahead. That'll be either ACR Nobody or Sven Turner. And oh dear, we've lost Formula Danny. We have lost Formula. Oh, he has actually come in.
Rico Gordon has ban in the first sector.
Oh dear, I think. Now it depends what's going to happen, because I think Rico Gordon's our host. We might have to start this again.
It's Rico. Well, it is not. Well, okay. The qualifying session will complete. We do have a method of being able to
rebuild the grid. That's absolutely true. So the weather prediction may well be incorrect. So Slick's PC crashed. That's why he was why he left the session. So, but we have just lost Rico Gordon. He didn't set a lap. Car Renegade did though. He managed to get a 120.1 as the checkered flag is now out. Slick and non-runner, of course, deemed to have finished as they were not on track. Formula Danny has retired. Brendan Lee has oh dear, he's overcooked it at the Parabolica, so he's not going to be pleased with that. As a Topar, he's also retired from the session. We've got yellow flags everywhere. That's interesting.
1, 2, and 3. I'm wondering if that's due to retiring.
It must be. Sure. It must be. So Topar 4th, Formula Danny on the pole spot. Ooh.
Sorry, Max is just he's just lost control of a car. I can't tell which corner it is.
That's the Del Loggia. That's the second chicane.
And he's just lost it and put it into the wall, and his car then 180 degrees the other way.
Oh dear. So again, that just shows how on the edge that Sauber was, as we just jump to... That is Kalon that's coming into the pits with a 120.7, which is still respectable. That actually finds him in 15th position. 1.3 separates... or 2... beg your pardon, I wasn't my math failing me. 1.3 separates 15th to first, and Fizzy is about 7/10 outside of that. But then I don't think anybody can blame him for being a bit off the pace on this particular day. I think Fizzy is going to come in. Yep, he's the last runner. I'm just keeping an eye on what the situation is with regards to the lobby, whether we will have to rebuild it or whether we will, continue as normal. Because I'm pretty sure it came up that Rico Gordon actually left the session as opposed to retire from it. But we will keep you posted on that one when we know more. I'm just being told again, it's a wet race. So it looks like, as we see Fizzy's pit crew push a invisible car into the garage. Now, I've just been told it's a wet race. Now, that would indicate that the whole thing is going to be wet, as opposed to the start is going to be wet. So we will see what happens, as Kalon just needs to officially retire from the session, and that will then get us properly into confirming the qualifying order. It will happen in 60 seconds, whether he likes it or not.
Kodiak, just to let you know, there will be no restart. Slick has actually rejoined. Hopefully he's rejoined in the nick of time.
Indeed.
And we're not going to be restarting as what's his name?
Rico Gordon.
Rico did not
disconnect. So then, top of your board is Formula Danny with, wow, Impulsive Racer in his first run. Patrick Holtzman in this league, just 1/10 down in second position. Marcel Kiefer third, Topar 4, Sven Soda 5, Brendan Lee 6th, Tim 7, ATR Nobody 8, Car Renegade 9, and Failure rounds out your top. Sorry, Hamish, I jumped in and did that one. I wasn't sure if you were ready to read the results out.
I wasn't, so that's fine.
And now Tim is saying a wet setup, which would indicate that it could be longer than just the start as originally thought. Oh, this is going to be interesting.
It will be interesting. If there's a wet race, a wet setup is massively crucial around here.
Oh my God,
that's
monsoon. Is that going to be full wets, I wonder?
Wow. That looks like it could be, Kodiak. I mean, if we can see any puddles forming in the pit lane, it'll give us an indication. I can't see puddles in the pit lane, but it doesn't mean there aren't any out on track. The drivers will have a much better idea. Their engineers will have already, sort of pre-chosen recommended tyres for them.
So they'll be frantically changing whatever setup options they've got available to them. Actually, the only tyres we can see at this point is Isaac Price's garage on the right-hand side. There's full wet there. They're not on the car, but I don't know whether that means anything at all in this particular scenario. But the timer is up. We are heading down to the grid, and it is full wet on these cars. Right, 5 lights, wind them up, and let them go. Can the McLaren of Impulsive Racer dethrone Danny from that top spot? It does look like a lot of wheel spin from Formula Danny. Look at the level of spray. You've got Patrick Osman on the inside. That's going 4 wide almost as Marcel Kiefer and Topar right in there. Sven Soner and Brendan Lee are swap positions. Bit of wheel banging there with the Force India of Impulsive Racer and Marcel Kiefer, I believe it is. Let's get down to them. The McLaren of Patrick Osman has managed to hang on to that second position. Marcel Kiefer in the Force India. He's looking to get past and try and do something about it. Oh, look at that side-by-side coming down to the first chicane. Oh, that's very, very close, especially in the wet wheel banging between the McLaren and the Force India. There is Topar in the next Mercedes, trying to get an inside run on the Lesmo on that Force India to try and move up the field.
Wow, we've got Brendan Lee under huge pressure from Sven Soner down the inside of the second Lesmo. Awesome job. He's now behind Topar, who is behind Marcel Kiefer. And we have, I'm the wrong camera. We have Patrick Holtzman and Danny. He's already 1.5 seconds up the road.
Yeah, he is sprinting, and he needs to, especially if the weather. Whoa! You've got. Yes, Kiefer and Patrick Holtzman that went too deep into the Ascari. Those two have swapped round. If I can get my keys to get further up the field. There we go. That's how much time that Patrick Osman lost on Marcel Kiefer. Then as that's Topar flying on the inside, heading towards the Parabolica. And it looks like Sven Soner is trying to follow suit.
Yeah, nobody's going to have a pretty good grandstand view of the battles ahead. He's in the slipstream. Brandon Lee got a bit of a better exit off the Parabolica down this main straight with the slipstream. In fact, Brandon Lee's going to have a look on Holtzman down the inside. They're very close in these spots. They're very close now. Holtzman going for a move on Vereno down the inside of the first chicane, and he hasn't been able to overtake Sven.
Fair effort, but couldn't quite pull that off then as they remain in their positions. But Formula Danny has lost a lot of time. He's got Marcel Kiefer right on his tail. So somewhere that's Formula Danny's main mistake as Brendan Lee and Brendan Lee and Patrick Holtzman side by side again, and looks like Brendan Lee's going to lose position at ATR. Nobody, he does. Yes, he looks like he pushed his own team out of the road, which I think that was the camera angle. And now that's Tim that's getting interested in Brendan Lee as well. Brendan's not having a good time here with the raid, and that was Tim actually running wide at the Lesmo. Goodness me, it's impossible to keep up with this lot.
Yeah, it isn't. Tim's not going to be very happy about that. It looks like Brendan Lee was, I don't know. We will see after the race if there's a steward's inquiry, but he seemed quite aggressive there. Nobody's going to have a look on... Oh,
Topar! Sorry to cut you off there, Hamish, but Topar's made a lovely move into second. Whoa! I think he got a little bit sideways there on the exit of the Ascari. That is Sven Soner and Marcel Kiefer getting side by side, heading down to the Parabolica. And Danny then, he had the opportunity to try and break away, but he's lost that lead. It does look like he's beginning to rebuild it again as ATR Nobody and Brendan Lee are side by side. Whoa, you saw the Red Bull of, that was Brendan Lee that was getting very, very sideways. Topar now setting the fastest lap. Goodness me, it is all going off here, there and everywhere.
It is. I mean, there's some pretty two major overtaking moves as Marcel Kiefer is looking at Topar. He's not able to make the move. Danny's just got a 3-second penalty for corner cutting. He was straight line back first hairpin or chicane even. He did try and slow down, but it wasn't good enough.
Sorry, we just saw Isaac Price getting very, very sideways on the exit of the Resifilo. He's now 3 wide coming through Curva Grande. I'd be so nervous being the middle car, 3 wide on the Curva Grande in the full wet. Oh, and he's touched the grass. He has managed to slow the car down, but Isaac Price is not having a good run. He's down in 9th.
Yeah, no, but he also went catastrophically wide, and he's actually, Holtzman's gone off, and that means Isaac's going to overtake him, and not quite Topar, but he did go quite wide, so he went wide first Lesmo.
So on board with Isaac Price, and he's keeping the pressure on Patrick Holtzman. Now Formula Danny has built up a seconds lead now at the front. He is very comfortable with his setup. But Topar and Marcel Kiefer pretty close together, as is Sven Cerner. He's right there as well. There they are, heading down towards the Parabolica again. Dive on the inside by the Renault. Can he slow it down? It does look like he can. Oh no, he's overshot it though. He couldn't slow it. Look at that. By Marcel Kiefer in the Force India, very sideways trying to get the power down. Topar again with the fastest lap. Wowee, these two are locked in battle. Now coming down to the Retifilo again. Topar up to second position with the fastest lap, and the Force India can't slow it down. That's Marcel Kiefer's overshot it. Oh, goodness me, and he now gets a 3-second penalty as well. We did see a little bit of that in the F2 races yesterday, and some of them did get appealed as they were a little bit they were thought to be a bit too severe for the amount of time lost. We'll see what the stewards make of these. I think the stewards are going to be busy.
Yes, I think they are, after the amount of little incidents we've seen so far. Hopefully they're not going to be too busy, because that obviously sort of takes away from the result we see on camera.
Wow.
And it looks like Danny following Topar following Danny, Sven.
Oh, Patrick, sorry again, Hamish. Patrick Holtzman's gone off at the Lesmo again. He's falling through his down in 12th now. Goodness me, he's lost both the Saubers, and we also saw a great inside manoeuvre by Khan Renegade on the inside of, I think it was the first Lesmo. But yeah, from battling for the lead early on, now Patrick Holtzman finds himself, oh goodness me, nearly slamming into the back of the Sauber, coming into a scar. He's down in 12th. He's now got Kalon on over his diffuser.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if Holtzman has any front wing damage. It doesn't look like he has. He's just seemingly a little bit inconsistent, because he was mega in qualifying.
But I mean, in the wet, let's face it, it's so hard to keep these monsters under control. Sven Cerner now gets the fastest lap, and Formula Danny's got a whole lot of trouble coming his way. It looks like Formula Danny's got a higher downforce. And we've got two, I was just about to say he's got a higher downforce setup than most. Khan Renegade and Max AOC both in the pits then. Oh dear, oh dear. So surely that's going to be front wing changes for them, and didn't quite catch it for the Ferrari, although he's come out very quickly. And it's from Max. That camera's too close, but he's in there too long.
There's been about a change of position for Lee. Topar's just gone on the outside of Danny. Danny's lost another position. Just first to fifth.
Just saw that then. Is that first to third? He hasn't got that badly for him. So yeah, literally just saw that. I saw the timings were very, very close, and saw that dive on the inside by Topar. And again, see Impulsive Racer seems to be swapping positions with the people down there in 12th position. So yeah, absolutely phenomenal amount of. It does seem like I was just going to say the lead three, but there you've got Marcel Kiefer, who's really not far off the back of what is now Formula Danny. So I mean, if Formula Danny has got a higher downforce setup than the rest, this is the area of the track that's not going to suit him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Danny seemingly, he was pulled away. Impulse Racer's got a 3-second penalty. But Danny was able to pull away, and now he seems to be sort of struggling. So I'm not entirely sure what the issue is there. Marcel Kiefer, he's half a second behind Danny, and he's closing in quite quickly. Is he going to be able to challenge for the podium, or maybe even the race win today?
Anything is possible. I mean, it was a 27 lap race, of which we're on lap 6. Kalon and Impulsive Racer are both in. So I would think then that Patrick Holtzman's probably got a new front wing coming his way in the McLaren. Let's just see what goes on there. Looks like the Force India crew are coming. Oh, we've lost him. Oh no. I mean, he didn't actually have the front wing go on at all. Oh dear, we've actually lost him. Fizzy's come in. I think he was the one. Fizzy's gone on into us. Ooh, now that's interesting. I did wonder. I was beginning to think to myself, is the rain letting up a bit? Is he? I'm assuming he's the only one that's going to be on. Those. Oh no, we have a few people. Actually, everyone that's pitted has gone onto those inters. So the rain is not falling enough. And to be fair, you don't see a lot of standing water on the track.
I'm just going to have a quick look at lap times of people on those inter tyres, see if they're any quicker.
Yeah, absolutely. So back up to the top of them, you've got Topart leading the way with Sven Cerner right with him, keeping him company. Formula Danny has lost time now. He's a second behind Sven Cerner with Marcel Kiefer in short succession. Brendan Lee's right there as well. He's 1.2 down from the back of Marcel Kiefer, but right there with them. ACR Nobody, 2.5 back. There he is in the next Red Bull. There you've got Isaac Price and Timp. Very, very short succession, 7th and 8th. And we've got a problem in Sector 2. Who might that be? Oh, it's Topar! Oh, no, Topar's in the pits.
So, yeah, so it looks like the Inter runners are considerably quicker, as in a second per sector.
Wow!
Quicker. So
per sector?
Actually, I think, per sector. So they were setting mid 33s in the second sector. They're now setting low 32s.
Yeah.
So it's almost a second and a half. So we've seen Formula Danny. This is his big chance now.
Yeah.
This is where Formula Danny is able to jump. Sven, potentially for the race lead. Topa's already came in. So this is where the race is going to be won or lost.
Have the ones that have stayed out left it too long? We just saw a massive lock-up then at the Del Roccia for Sven Cerner, who now leads the race in the Renault. It's still a hell of a lot of spray coming off the back of these cars. Whoa, you saw Brendan Lee actually sliding almost completely off the road there at the first Lesmo. Whoops, and that was a big...
runners, sorry Cody to interrupt, the wet runners are really, really struggling. I've just seen Raiko Gordon coming off the track, Thaler's coming off the track, Tim, he's struggling quite a bit with the traction, so all of the drivers now, I would have thought, are going to be pitting.
Yeah, absolutely, as the lead of our intermediate runners is Topar at the moment. We'll see how... when the front runners come in, we'll see where he fares, but it looks like it's really going to pay off for those that have come in already.
Oh, it looks horrendous. I'm just watching Sven coming around Parabolica. It looks awful.
The front three are coming in, yeah, that's not a surprise.
Ben up a couple of seconds as well, I've noticed.
ACR Nobody has chosen to come in. Well, he had no choice. He had to continue. His teammate Brendan Lee is already in, so he had to continue. Timp has come in, Thaler is in. I wouldn't be surprised if non-runner comes in. Yeah, he does as well. And Raiko Gordon, yep. All of the front-running wet runners are now in to get rid of them. Where's Topar? He's just gone through. And he's going to jump the lot. And there he is. There was Sven coming out. So, yeah, Topar timed that brilliantly well. Sven didn't lose as much as I thought he would. But Topar has already got the eye on where the new braking points are. Oh, goodness me, we just saw a bit of side-by-side there between, that is Marcel Kiefer, Formula Danny and Brendan Lee. They're very, very close. Post-pit stop then, Brendan looking to try and do something about those ahead of him. He's going to try and do it straight away. But, of course, Topar has the advantage of knowing where the new braking points are, so knowing how hard he can push straight away, whereas everyone else has to learn that.
Yeah, absolutely. Danny was really side-by-side with Marcel Kiefer. Coming down the pit straight, and actually he was about a car length ahead of him. It's just Danny went a little bit wide into the first corner. Oh, Isaac
Price and Car Renegade swapping position. That is at the first Lesmo, so that'll be probably a fairly straightforward move. We didn't see it, unfortunately. Oh, that's Brendan Lee in Formula Danny swapping position before they get to Ascari. Oh, wow, we actually saw, just as we cut back to this, Brendan Lee's car getting very, very squirrely. Heading down to Ascari, probably as he touches the brakes. It looked like he was getting very squirrely at that point, and ACR Nobody now comes in. He didn't have a choice, he had to come in as soon as he could, but of course his teammate came in about half a lap before him. Well, not even that, about 2 corners before him indeed. So ACR Nobody had to continue to do another lap as Topar predictably sets the fastest lap, and he's got himself, let's see what the gap is between him and Sven Cerner, is the 1.7, so he has built up, again, big lock-up into the Rettifilio, so he's beginning to build himself a lead, but let's see if he, oh dear, that's nasty, 5 seconds stop go for corner cutting, that seems a little bit, it didn't look like Sven Cerner cut the corner that badly, so I think that one will probably go up to the stewards.
Yes, I would have thought so. ACR Nobody seemingly didn't lose that much time, he's came out of P6. And he's going to have the freshest tyres on the grid, so that's pretty good for him.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Sven Cernik finds himself in an awkward position that if he pits again, i.e. if our first weather report is correct, and he does completely dry up, he will have no choice but to serve that stop-go penalty, because it was a stop-go, not a straight time penalty, as Riker Gordon gets himself a 3-second penalty. If it's a stop-go penalty that is served, there's nothing the stewards can do about it. So Sven, if it carries on raining, he'll be absolutely fine. He'll be able to get it appealed.
Yeah, I mean, what the stewards, I suppose, could potentially do is remove one of his 3-second added time penalties to try and make up for that 5-second penalty if they deem the 5-second penalty to have been too harsh. But as obviously for them to decide. I would have thought that Inters won't last another 17 laps.
I wouldn't have thought so, as we just jumped down the field as Topar sets the fast lap again. Here we see Isaac Price and Khan Renegade in a very, very close succession. The Mercedes really pushing the Ferrari around the Parabolica. This is for 7th position. I wonder if Khan Renegade is enjoying his home advantage. As an Italian driver, Italian car, Italian track.
Sorry, Brandon Lee's going to have a look at Marcus Keifer. And he is going to take around the outside, and that's
brave.
Like probably move done. Looking from Danny's point of view, is he going to try and outbrake him in the corner? And
Sven again. Ooh, well defended by Marcel Kiefer as they come in through Del Roger, and that's from Danny. Then, of course, that slowed Brendan Lee down, and that's put from Danny right into this mixture. Topaz comes out a 2-second lead now. He's absolutely flying. And then the gap between Sven Zerner and Marcel Kiefer is about 4 seconds to give or take. And then you've got this gaggle of 3, Marcel Kiefer, Brendan Lee and Formula Danny, all within a second of one another. This battle is going to be fascinating.
It is. Interestingly, Formula Danny lost out quite a lot, considering he came into the pits at pretty much the optimal time. Same as Topa. He is now 6 seconds behind Topa, and when they're leaving the pit, they're pretty much neck and neck.
That is true, so it would indicate he probably has made a mistake somewhere. Another 3-way battle I can see, looking at the timings we have got, is going to be here. It's Car Renegade, Isaac Price, and Tib. Topa again with the fastest lap. So it's all going Topa's way at the moment, but it all depends on what the weather does. If the weather does completely dry, we are actually seeing gaps in the clouds. So I just looked up at that particular moment. It could well dry up, and Topaz's setup may not pay off in a dry race than it would in a wet.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, at the moment, though, as it stands, Topaz's going to gain 15 points on Brandon Lee, and even more on Tim. In fact, he's going to gain 24 points on Tim. He was having an awful race down in 10th. It's not often that he is down 10th.
No, indeed.
10th is by quite a considerable margin Tim's worst
finish. Yeah, it would be.
Hasn't finished outside of top 7 so far this season.
Well, everyone has a bad day. It's oh dear, I think we can forgive Fizzy for that one. Again, we're being very lenient on Mr. Fizzy. I give him big props for actually coming into this race. Whoa! As you're just seeing in that camera angle, that was failure. That was very, very sideways. Look at that. Look how close the Ferrari and the Mercedes are now as they've left the second Esmo. But it does look like Car Renegades had a better run out of the second Esmo and into Ascari. And there you see in the background there, that's ACR Nobody. That is 2.7 ahead of the Ferrari. Oh, now you see a different line being used. It looked like Isaac Price had a bit of a, well, actually had a considerably better run out of Ascari, but he's not going to get there in time. And yet another fastest. Oh, I was just about to say another fastest out by Topar. And Sven gets his name on the board. So the Renault now finding some grip and some pace. Yeah, that lead battle's not done yet.
It'll be interesting if they enable DRS in these conditions. I can't believe it's going to be too long.
Oh, wheel banging between the Red Bull and the Force India. That's forced Marcel Kiefer over the sausage curbs. Brendan overcooked it into the Rettifilo and slams into the side of the Force India. He is continuing though. Marcel Kiefer has just about fended off Formula Danny for that 4th place. But can he do so now? Yes, he does. The Force India does defend against the championship leader. But again, the Force India is right back on Brendan's case, so he hasn't got the luxury of being able to sprint off just yet.
Yeah, I've just read the chat. How's Fizzy still awake? I have no idea. He's just been up for more than 24 hours after his Daytona race. he had not a single lap of practice before this race. So the fact he's only 40 seconds behind the leader
and in the wet
is pretty impressive by any stretch of the imagination.
Yeah, he probably saw it was wet weather and just hung his head. So I'm sure he would have wanted it to have been dry. But ooh.
Marcel Kiefer went unbelievably wide at Ascari. I don't know if he got a penalty for that. That does mean Danny's going to have a look on the inside of Parabolica, and if he gets a good driver from exit, that's a pretty
nice
good
move
by Formula Danny. That's put him up to P4, and every single position is crucial now for Danny, as Topar is one of his main rivals. Indeed,
and we can't rule out any kind of weather changes as we are fast approaching the halfway stage of this race. Oh, that's a big old lockup then by Marcel Kiefer. We just saw ACR Nobody in the background of the shot. Brendan Lee still hasn't managed to break away too much from this particular battle. Formula Danny is defending like crazy from Marcel Kiefer then, trying to hang on to that freshly acquired 4th position. Let's jump on board with the Force India. That is what it looks like from his perspective. Now coming through the Darrogia. Oops, ACR Nobody going to have a penalty. Oh, Force India had a good drive, but can't quite jump on the inside of the first Lesmo. They are keeping in striking distance of Brendan Lee. Now through Lesmo 2. Well, it's all about patience. It's so easy to push too hard too soon. The non-runner gets himself a penalty as well. Now it does look like Marcel Kiefer is going to get in the slipstream. No DRS at this point, as we can see. Oh my goodness me!
Go, surely not!
Oh,
wow, what a move by Marcel Kiefer. That is.
It's flown wide!
He's got a bit wide. He's going to have to let Danny through, I think.
A bit wide? he was off to the pit lane at that angle. But, not necessarily. The move was done before they entered Ascari.
Danny span. Oh no, he hasn't quite.
Well,
it's Danny on a span. Right?
That was very well held. Then there was an unintentional contact between the two cars, and Formula Danny held it very, very well. But there in the background, you can see ATR Nobody is closing them in as they're battling. That has given Brendan Lee a big old bit of breathing space. Now he really can push to try and get away, as most people seem to be locking up coming into the Retafilo at the moment. Goodness me. Isaac Price is still keeping Car Renegade for company. Look at that. It's now 4-car train now, with this being led by the Ferrari of Car Renegade. Isaac Price in 8th position, or 2nd in this train. Now Failure is right there, as is Timp. So Timp could stand, if there's a contact between these cars, Timp could gain a few positions pretty easily. And that's, of course, not relying on the weather. It's still raining. We can see in that particular shot, you can actually see the clouds are breaking up, but there's no let up in the rain at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if Tim wants to maybe try. He is in P10, so finishing P10 and P11 to Tim won't really matter. So I wonder if he's going to try a bit more of an aggressive strategy and maybe go on to dries a little bit earlier than the others and hope that his move works.
He is hoping that weather dries up pronto, because he's going to want time to be able to claw back the distance lost between himself and his main championship rival Formula Danny, who's now in 5th position after his tanglings with the Force. It does look like Formula Danny is losing time. He's now 6/10 down from Marcel Kiefer, and keeping an eye on this particular battle as opposed to jumping to Formula Danny at this point, as it's less than 3/10 between the Merc and the Ferrari as they come through Curva Grande again. And it's all going to be down to the exit. It does look like that the Ferrari has got a decent drive out of Curva Grande. Curva Grande, wrong one. Parabolica.
Yes, I know, you said that a minute ago. I'm looking for which cars were at Curva Grande.
Yeah. It's one of those things you say, and there's a little voice in the back of your head going, nope. Now, Curva Grande. And Failure is still there, so Failure is still hanging on to a attacking position. So Isaac Price can't just concentrate on the car ahead. Brendan Lee, however, most certainly can. He's broken away. Let's actually jump over here. Oh, Tim's got himself a penalty. That's going to really hurt. None of the weather, rain still looks fairly unchanged. So this particular pack you're seeing here is Brendan Lee 3rd, Marcel Kiefer 4, and Formula Danny is losing time now, 9/10 down from the Force India. And there, just behind him, is ATR Nobody, who's just shy of 1.2 down from the Haas. So if it carries on like that, it does look like Formula Danny's going to have to start defending again.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, Danny can't afford to lose any more positions. I mean, he's lucky that Tim's so far down the grid, but Danny really wants to be moving up the field rather than down, especially at this stage in the championship.
Failure and Isaac Price. Oh, sorry, I keep cutting you off.
Okay.
It's so disingenuous, Hamish. I'm so
right.
sorry. But there we go. That's Failure and Isaac Price then now engaged in battle, and the Sauber trying to do something against the Mercedes, who's lagging just a little bit. Ooh, Isaac with a very strong defensive move. Is Failure gonna try something on the inside of the first chicane? No, he doesn't. And he stays where he is. He's going to try and get a better drive out the Resvilio. Not quite. He remains where he is for now, but Isaac Price has got it all to do, as we've got the heli cam here on the stream. I love this camera. Wish we had it more often.
Good, especially around Curva Grande. It's one of the best corners to have it as they come to the chicane. Yeah, I was trying to remember the corner name. I was thinking of Retifilio.
Oh, you saw this album pushing a little bit too hard. He's wandered slightly wide at the first Lesmo. And you could see the momentum that actually lost him on the Mercedes, who had a very good drive on the exit of the second Lesmo. But Car Renegade ahead has got a decent amount of breathing space to really start to push away. He was probably enjoying the fact that Isaac Price was off his tail for a little bit to try and break away. But whoa! Trouble!
He's gone, and Tim
well held.
They were taking the Sauber. Wow, Failure. Yeah, like you said, that's really well held, especially the speed you carry through Ascari. I mean, you're going through that in the dry at least at like 180 miles an hour. So if you have a bit of a sideways moment there, then you need to be on your toes.
If there was ever a moment to clench your buttocks, that was definitely one for Failure. My goodness me, that was very well held. Jumping back up, though, to Formula Danny. He has got ATR Nobody all over his tail. Less than a second now separates the two. And about a second now is between Danny and Marcel Kiefer. And 2 seconds separates Marcel Kiefer and Brendan Lee. You can't even see him in that particular shot. So Formula Danny has got it all to do. And the weather is... Has it stopped?
Yeah, it hasn't quite. It's
slow. I think it is slowing down though.
In patches, though, it is drying out a little bit. So, but I'm not sure. I think if we're going to go into dry tyres, it'll be literally for the last 5 laps. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see. And also, Sven has very slowly but surely been catching up with Topar. He's about a 10th per lap. He's been catching up with Topar. So we need to keep a close eye on that battle.
Oops, as Marcel Kiefer gets himself a penalty, and ACR Nobody as well. So Brendan Lee then is 8.5 seconds behind this particular battle. But again, it all could still change now. Topar could have just backed off a little bit just to try and maintain his grip on the lead. And Svensson again with the fastest lap. Let's just bring up. Where's the... No, not that one. Fastest lap. There it is. So that's a tenth and a half in best lap times between Svensson and Topar. Also, we don't know what last lap Topar set, but there's now 1.8 thereabouts between the Renault and the Mercedes. Could well change, but we've lost Slick again. Oh goodness me, we lost him during qualifying. Oh, we actually lost him in the beginning of the race. I did wonder who it was we lost at the beginning. He's actually just left the session. I knew we started with 17. Couldn't identify which of the 17 drivers we had actually lost at the beginning. It was indeed Slick. So, exactly as you said earlier, he didn't join the race. He didn't come back into the session quick enough to sadly start the race, it would seem.
Yeah, it looks like Sven has got about 7 seconds of penalty. So whether the stewards will take away any of that, I'm not sure.
One of them is a stop-go, isn't it?
Yeah, so you've got the 5 and the 3, so which makes 8. So,
that makes 8. So maybe the stop go is not listed in that particular penalty because he hasn't served it yet. Of course, the others are time penalties. So we're watching Isaac Price all over the back of Car Renegade as Riker Gordon, in the second Ferrari gets himself a penalty as well. That Mercedes now back on the Ferrari's case. This battle is reignited. I'm also keeping an eye on Formula Danny and Marcel Kiefer. Now, that particular battle, we saw ATR Nobody get very, very sideways in the exit of Ascari. So that has given Formula Danny the chance to start closing back in on that Force India. That's now 7/10 thereabouts between the Haas and the Force India for 4th position. Oh, there you saw Car Renegade twitch a little bit as he was coming into the Parabolica, but I don't think Isaac had a great run through Parabolica either, so he's not been able to close in any. But let's see if he's able to do anything into the Brettivilio.
Yeah, I mean, they've seemed to be pretty much within this 1 second region for the last 10 laps now. And I'm sure Isaac is keeping Car Renegade on his toes, because you're definitely under a lot more pressure when you're behind someone. Car Renegade's had a little bit of a sideways moment. He's okay for now, though. Again, we've got Danny has really caught up to Marcel Kiefer as well. Even.
Now, we just saw Marcel actually got himself another penalty there, so again, we will have to wait until the checkered flag falls and everyone has crossed the line before we know the final finishing positions. That, of course, before any kind of steward's intervention. So Formula Danny will be aware that there are penalties on the Force India ahead. He may know he doesn't have to do a on-track overtake, but if you're a racer, you will still want to get that done there. We see ATR Nobody now nearly 2 seconds down from the back of the house, so Formula Danny has got a lot of breathing space to himself. It does look like Sven Zerner is still closing in on that lead.
He's very close.
Yeah, as we come around to complete lap 19, so 8 to go.
Oh, sorry, Isaac is going to have a look at Car Renegade into the Parabolica around the outside. He's going to try and break as late as possible. Is he going to get the switchback now? This is what I imagine he's going to be trying. He's got a good exit.
You saw the tail of the Mercedes just kick out.
He is close again. Oh, Renegade came to a pit. Is he going on to dries?
Surely not. Surely not. It's still raining. He can't be coming in for dries. Actually, that's a car coming in. Oh, I think that's the... but he is!
He is!
Super soft tyres!
Wow. This is interesting. I was going to say, he was in a solid position. He was in P7, so that would be very strange if he did. So now, we're going to have to keep an eye. I'm going to keep a close eye on Car Renegade.
Yeah, he can't make that work. It's still raining. I mean, fair play. If you make that work, hats off to you. But he's now right the way down. He's going to be challenging. He's challenged rather by Max. Oh, he's struggling to get that through Brettivilio. And that's the Sauber of Max actually right with him. He's just going to breeze past on those inters. That is too early. I mean, give it a try, I guess. Why not? Kalon's also coming. Is he trying the same, I wonder? But then, yep, Kalon's trying the same thing. Whoops, and nearly loses it on the way out in that Toro Rosso. But Kalon's down in, at the tail end of the field. Oh, he's nearly spun it already. Yep, he's gone too deep. It's too early for the dry tyres.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Renegade was able to stay with Max for a few corners. I think Kalon probably saw what Renegade had done and thought, right, I'm going to try the same thing. I mean, if you're outside the top 10, it's definitely a viable option. But, I mean, he was in P7. He's sort of just thrown that away.
He has. I mean, he's down in 13th now. So, yeah, that's obviously partly due to the pit stop. But, yeah, that's gone very badly wrong. Ooh, as Timper's coming in.
I can only imagine he's doing the same thing.
Formula Danny's gone past Marcel Kiefer as well, so that battle for fourth is still going on. But you can just see how much these guys are struggling. Is it a case of they just warn the rain is near enough stopped? So we say it's too early.
Renegade just lost his front wing.
Oh no, he has as well. Big chunk of that missing. That is at Curva Grande. But Timp is on the Superstar as well. But the rain has stopped. This is why they're doing it. They knew the rain was about to end. And their inters are probably absolutely dead. So, and Car Renegade. What a shame. On his home circuit as well. That's going to be a DNF for the Ferrari. Great, great shame. But I bet you that's why they're doing it. They've got nothing left in those inters, and they know the rain has stopped. They don't want to risk another. You see, the rain has actually stopped, so the track is going to dry pretty quick. Topar is in, Sven is in, so the leaders are coming into the pits. But
I don't think they have any other option. But I do think intermediates are quicker at the moment. I don't think these super soft tyres are the quickest compound. There is still spray coming off the tyres.
Brendan's in as well. Formula Danny's not though. I think Formula Danny may well have got the right call here because he's staying at another lap, as is ATR Nobody behind him. I think one more lap is probably going to be... Yeah, exactly as you see. We still see the spray coming off the back of the tyres. So Topar comes out now in third, so he hasn't lost too much. Sven has lost badly. He is now down in fifth with Failer, who's still on the inters ahead of him. So that's going to hurt. Oh, you saw the tail kick out on the Renault. So it's going to be really interesting to see how the Inter runners and the Supersoft runners do at the moment. Failer is on the back of Topar. So let's see how the worn Inters of the Sauber does against the freshly super soft shod, and be careful saying that one, Mercedes. Because if Topar starts to pull away, he may well have got it right, but I think they've done it slightly too early.
Yes, so do I. I mean, we're keeping. I'm going to have a look at Danny's lap times, if what they are at the moment. So he's setting 31s in that sector. Then on the super softs, we've got people setting.
Saying that,
same, really.
It does look, it does look like they may well have got the changeover spot on in hindsight, because it does look like Topar is actually building that gap to Failer, not Failer closing in. But then that could just be down to worn Inters as Formula Danny now comes in, as we have our DRS is enabled. So, yep, it is now definitely dry conditions. So it's all down to when you get that it's down to that pit stop timing, as Brendan Lee is side by side with non-runner who is still on those inters. So I'm assuming the runner is going to come in now. Yes, he does. So that is 6th position for Brendan. He's going to gain 2. Danny's in.
Yes, Danny did come in. He was 6th when he left. Before the pit stops, he's now 5th, maybe.
Another stop-go penalty for Sven. Of course,
he just got rid of it.
He just served one, and he's just earned himself another one. Oh my goodness me! It gets from bad to disastrous for the Renault. Oh dear, oh dear. So yeah, when he made the pit stop, he had to have served the 5-second stop-go, and he's got himself another 3-second penalty. He is furious at the moment. Brendan Lee just needs to keep it on the black stuff at the moment, and he'll earn the position by default.
Yeah, easily.
We're seeing the last of the pit stops, and Fizzy's come in, and Impulsive Racer is still ghosted. ACR Nobody leads by 7 seconds, which he is going to lose in pit stops. That's of course fairly evident. And there is the Red Bull runner. So if anything, Nobody left it a lap too late, because he still did another 2. Yeah, must have been 2 laps. You can actually see the tread is just gone on those inters. He's just struggling to get any kind of power down into the tarmac at all. In he comes. That's going to gift the lead back to this man Topar, who again, for the 3rd race in a row, has just been phenomenal.
Yeah, you know what though? Nobody is actually in a pretty good position. I think he's on for a podium at the moment. I can't remember if Brendan has a penalty. I know Danny has a 3-second penalty.
Oh, Marcel Kiefer and Formula Danny side by side coming through the parabolica. They're still hitting wet patches of I need to say grass then. Wet patches of tarmac, still side by side as they're coming into the Retifilia. That is Brendan Lee. There's directly ahead of them. Can they slow it down? Oh, there looks like a bit of contact between Force India and the Haas, though. They've got through the corner okay. There's ACR Nobody just gone through the shot. So he's come out in 6th then, so not a bad effort for him. So I think it was about where he was before the pit stop started, so he hasn't lost out any. Brendan Lee up to 3rd, although almost certainly going to gain position because of Sven's penalties. But all eyes at the moment, again, on this battle for 4th position between Formula Danny and Marcel Kiefer.
Yeah, so I was asking, has Sven got a stop-go? He did serve it, but he's
earned himself another one.
So, yes, he does still have a stop-go. He also has a 3-second penalty above that. In fact, I think he has 2 extra 3-second penalties. I think he's got about 11 seconds of penalty.
He's pushing that a bit too hard. I think that's what happens when you start... Go on.
Sorry, Kodiak. Well, he is about coming up to 10 seconds ahead of Brandon at the moment, so he might just about be lucky.
Just edge it. Could be. Topar with the fastest lap, then 1:27.5. But we'll see if... Isaac Price gets himself a penalty. Oh dear, the penalties are coming in thick and fast. Look at that. Formula Danny's really now starting to pressure Brendan Lee for that 3rd position. There it is from the view of the Haas. He's still seeing a bit of spray on the camera, but nothing too bad as we have 3 laps to go. And the Haas now really starting to find some grip and some pace and piling on the pressure to the Red Bull.
Yes, Sven actually for some reason has 9 seconds of penalty. He doesn't have a stop-go penalty. It's not showing up on the race director anyway.
Because it hasn't been served. So because he won't pit again, that'll just be added on as it'll actually add on as a 10-second penalty, because it'll be the 5-second penalty itself plus 5 for not serving it, which is highly unfair. But I suspect he'll get that contested in the stewards. Because it isn't served, he can have it contested, so we will see what the outcome of that is post-hence.
Ooh, Danny is right on the tail of Brandon Lee. Apologies if you've just been commenting on that battle. I was sort of preoccupied with the race director. So Danny has DRS and Brandon. Won't overtake him into Ascari, but maybe coming out of Parabolica, he might be able to get P3, but bearing in mind Danny does have a 3-second penalty though.
Brendan had a stunning exit from the Lesmos, which gave him the breathing room to keep Formula Danny at bay. Right there is also Marcel Kiefer, and Sven Zerner has just nailed the fastest lap. He's only got 2 laps to close in 6 seconds. He is going to take a mistake from Topar to really close in that kind of gap, so we will see how that one transpires. Mistakes can happen any time. Looking a little bit further down, look at this. We're in another 3-way battle here. This is Tim Failer and Isaac Price in pretty short succession. Oh my goodness me, that is so close.
Wow. Is Failer going to have a look at Tim? He is round the outside. The Sauber is braking late, not late enough. Looks like Isaac is going to have a look round the outside, maybe get the switch back, and not quite. Wow, that was pretty close.
Very, very close indeed as they now come through Curva Grande. The Merc has got a great trackside camera for this particular battle going on. Now coming into the Del Roger for the penultimate time. And all behaving themselves at the moment. But you can see, it looks like Failer is trying to find a line past the Sauber. He's trying to do everything he possibly can to do something about it. The Toro Rosso, rather. The Sauber trying to get past the Toro Rosso, I should say. Now coming through the second Lesmo. Looked like Isaac Price has had a decent run. Now he may well get involved. DRS open on Failer's car. So Tim was really going to have to defend coming into a scar. You can see he's taking the inside line. Failer having to think about it, but can't get through. Isaac Price then closing back in again. He's now... Oh, the tail of the Merc got a little bit loose, but he held onto it fairly well. Now back into the slipstream, heading down to the Parabolica. Tim had a look to defend, but Failer decides not to throw on the inside. Oh, the Merc's gone there. There's a bit of banging going on. Both cars keeping it nice and tidy. We now enter the final lap.
How these 3 drivers haven't swapped positions, I do not know. Tim and Isaac, they both have 3 seconds penalty. Failer is clean all race, so he has nothing. So at the moment, Failer's gonna have the P7. Gosh, that was a heart-stopping moment as they all broke in to the first chicane.
Absolutely amazing. It's Max for Sauber gets his name. Why not? If you can't get points, get your name known for fastest lap. Why not? He's down in 12th, so sadly won't earn points for it, but kudos for the fastest lap nonetheless.
Danny is having a look at Brandon Lee coming up into Ascari. It's his final chance. He's not close enough. He needs to get a drive now off Ascari to have any chance of catching up with Brandon. He has a tiny bit of fuel left. Brandon seemingly forgot to use his fuel and has like 10 laps left.
Oh, Topar getting...
has won the race. Good job from him.
Setting the fastest lap as well as Timp and Failer have actually swapped position. Look at that. That is Timp and Isaac Price then struggling to... Well, Timp is struggling to defend from Isaac Price. Going through Ascari. Now it's going to be just one corner to go. The Parabolica. He gets the defensive line. Mercedes is going to try an outside move on the final lap. He's got the momentum. He's pushed slightly wide.
Coming back.
Oh my goodness me!
Back. He's got me inside. As short as right to the line.
Oh, that was so close. 87 thousandths of a second separating the Mercedes and the Toro Rosso. What a finish! But your official positions then: Topar wins the race by 10.5 seconds over Sven Zerner. He did indeed stay ahead of Brendan Lee in 3rd position. Formula Danny 4, Marcel Kiefer 5, ATR Nobody 6, Failer 7, Timp by the narrowest of margins, hanging on to that 8th position. Isaac Price 9, non-runner 10, Max 11, as Kalon has another penalty right at the end. Riker Gordon 12. Fizzy is still running. How he hasn't fallen asleep, is anyone's guess. Yellow flags out sector 1 and 2. I mean, that's just ghosted cars at this stage.
Fizzy should get bonus points for simply being able to do the race.
He's having a celebration wiggle to himself, and he deserves it, frankly.
Not? Absolutely. Celebration. He's been up for the best part of 35 hours. So.
Kalon writes his name on every wall he can find to finish the race off. 14 finishers from 17 qualifying cars. Sadly, we lost Slick right at the beginning, but oh, what a finish!
Yeah, that was quite incredible. I think Sven's actually kept his position.
He did. Yeah, he did in the end.
Good job from him. P2, not bad at all. Sven's shown some pretty amazing racecraft coming into this league. I mean, I think his first race was in Baku. He got P2. He won in Austria. He had a poor race in Silverstone, and he's had 2 P3 finishes on the Trot in Hungary and Spa, and now he's got another P2. He's definitely a contender for the new guys who have came into the split.
So, well, we've already kind of run through the list. That's Topar, that is the top man. Sven 2, Brendan 3, Formula 24, Marcel 5, ATR Nobody 6, Fader 7, Tim 8, Isaac Price 9, and Non-Runner rounds out the top 10. Right, let's see who we can find to talk to.
So it looks like Brandon's in, or Brendan is in for the, don't say us, but is in for a chat, so we shall drag him in.
Go for it. There he is, Brendan Lee. How are you, sir?
Disappointed, promising, and front wing damage.
Oh no! So, I mean, were you banking on the weather changing when it did, or did you have a kind of? How much of a clue do you have at the beginning of the race as to when weather is going to change?
I thought it was actually going to go dry about lap 15, but I was just mainly trying to manage my tyres and make sure I didn't get a penalty during the mid race on the inters, so I knew I couldn't catch Sven in P1 because obviously the front wing damage. But yeah, like I said, promising, but hey, he deserved the win today, and by far, not by far, but he was the quickest, I think.
It was Topar that managed to keep him at bay, but he was certainly keeping Topar honest and true. I mean, you still had some decent battles in there. Where do you feel you had the pace for the top spot, were it not for the damage?
That's hard to say because I started P6 and it would have had to take a lot of effort through lap 1 and a lot of luck through lap 1 to be able to challenge him, because I think there was something like P1 or P2 within 4 laps, so it would have been really hard to challenge him after that by getting through the field. So if in an ideal situation where I started on pole, maybe, but that's not what an ideal situation is.
Indeed, but a solid effort nonetheless and a decent haul of points. Formula Danny, well, you were in more than your fair share of battles, I think it's fair to say.
Yeah, it was an exciting race with mainly... oh my god, I'm a little bit tired, I didn't even know the names. With Marcel Kiefer, yes. So, I had exciting battles, but this was the worst setup I have ever had on Drain. 11 ballast, 2 4 wings, just totally didn't work. At the first lap I had a 2 seconds advantage till the second sector, and after I just dropped it on myself. And after they all came back to behind me very close, and after they just went side by side with me and just go past, and I had no chance to fight. Because I locked my tires, I got a penalty as well, but during every break-in, every cornering, my car backend just wanted to go out everywhere, and I didn't know why was that. I didn't test anything in this week for that, but it's something what I have to solve maybe for next races. But yeah, it was an enjoyable race.
Good stuff. It looked like you adapted well, considering that the weather reports we had were that it was going to start very wet. So how do you approach that practice-wise? Do you just concentrate on dry weather practice and adapt it to wet weather, or would you normally do a mixture of the two so you have an idea of what to expect?
To be honest, at the very beginning of the season, I always practice for wet in time trial and for dry in time trial as well, and see how my setups works. but since I won Baku with a dry setup on wet without any practice, I felt a little bit more confident than I should have on wet. And I thought since I got my new wheel, I'm very good at wet. But this race showed me that I'm not that good at that, even with the new wheel compared to these esports finalists. So I need to get back to time trial and just focus on a wet setup as well. Just do an online lobby in wet as well to see how it goes, because sometimes dry setups are great, but sometimes they don't. And I had a massive oversteer, and I had just simply no chance. Topo was faster than me about a second a lap or half a second a lap when I was better. That's what I had no chance. Whatever I could do, I had no chance. Maybe I could have got the podium, but as I heard, Brandon got a front wing damage, so he was faster than me than that way again. So.
Great job, and again a solid finish. Topal, our race victor for the third time in a row. Goodness me, in the second half of the season, you are alive.
Yeah, what's up? Yeah, it kind of seems like that, yeah.
So again, did you practice for wet weather, or do you just seem to the last three races, if they're anything to go by, you're going to be storming through to get your name right into that championship battle, really, in the next kind of half a dozen rounds, if that. So is that a very real target for you, the kind of championship fight, or are you just concentrating on each race as they come?
Yeah, well, the main goal is to win the championship, and I think I gained some good points today. And actually, we did a wet session like 1 hour before the race with many guys, for example Brandon and Sven, and I think it really helped in the race. So yeah, excellent stuff.
So anything to add to that, Hamish?
No, I don't think so. I mean, obviously, good job to all the guys out there. There's a pretty challenging condition.
Absolutely. I think that's going to wrap it up here. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us throughout the race. Those in chat, those that watched it live, or those catching up with it later on YouTube, thank you very much for your attendance. It is always appreciated. Thank you very much, Hamish, for being with me in the commentary box. Always a pleasure, sir.
No problem.
Thank you very much to our racers for providing a stunning show for this race. And we will see you right here next time for more AOR action. Thank you very much, and good night.